Okay, Shannon, you could put us on the record, please.
Okay.
This is the matter of Richardson versus Richardson. Mr. Rapley's present, representing the plaintiff, and both Mr. and Mrs. Richardson are also present. So, good morning. We're scheduled for a pretrial today, and I use pretrials normally to find out, are we going to have a trial, and how long will it take, and what are the issues in dispute, etc. Mr. Rapley, you want to let me know how this case is going?
Your Honor, the parties settled this matter back in September by entering into a settlement agreement that both of them have signed. We've just been waiting for the time frame in order to allow them to take proofs and enter a judgment. I would like to take the proofs today, and I'm working on the final judgment that will incorporate that settlement agreement. I should have that done no later than Monday. I will circulate that to the parties, get their signatures on it, get it submitted to the court.
Okay, Ms. Flint, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You can put your hand down. Please state your full name for the record.
Amy Janine Richardson.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong case. Ms. Richardson.
Yeah.
No wonder you hesitated. I'm sorry. You didn't have your name on the screen. It just says Galaxy. So I looked quickly down at my docket and I looked at the wrong file. So my apologies. Go ahead,
That's
Mr.
okay.
Rapley. You may proceed, Mr. Rapley.
Ms. Richardson, can you hear me?
I can.
Now, you signed a complaint for divorce some time ago. Do you remember that document?
Yes.
Were the allegations and the information contained in that document true at the time you signed it?
Yes.
Did it remain true today?
Yes.
Were all the children that were born or adopted to this relationship listed in that document?
Yes.
Are you currently pregnant?
No.
You allege that there had been a breakdown in the marriage relationship to the extent that the objects of matrimony had been destroyed and that there remains no reasonable likelihood the marriage can be preserved. Is that true today?
True.
And you and Jason entered into a settlement agreement that the two of you negotiated. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you want that incorporated in a final judgment of divorce, and you agree to be bound by that settlement agreement?
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
And Mr. Richardson, you acknowledge the settlement agreement and you also agree to be bound by it?
Yes, sir.
Very well. I am satisfied based on the proofs. There has been a breakdown in the marriage. To the extent that the objects of matrimony have been destroyed, there remains no reasonable likelihood that the marriage can be preserved. I will sign the consent judgment and related documents upon their submission. We will change the trial date to a status conference. As long as the judgment is received on or before that date, there will be no need to appear. Thank you all and have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is the matter of Cuvelier versus Cuvelier. Is that how you pronounce your last name, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, this is a motion to issue a PPO.
Here, Your Honor.
Only Ms. Cuvelier is here.
Okay, thank you.
I do not see in the file a proof of service showing that Mr. Cuvelier was notified of the hearing today. Did you notify him?
I sent the PPO via certified mail
And I have the receipt for that with me. I didn't get a receipt of service. I don't know if he's still at the address that it was sent to. That's just his last known.
So it looks like he doesn't have notice. So it's not necessary for you to send it by certified mail. The mails are moving very slowly right now, and particularly certified mail requires special handling, so it goes even slower.
Okay.
And more significantly, people frequently refuse to accept certified mail.
Yeah.
And what you end up with is proof that he didn't get notice. So what I'm going to do is adjourn this hearing. I'm going to adjourn it for 2 weeks to give you time to send him notice. Now, when you say last known address, do you have information to suggest that he's not at that address anymore?
He's couch surfing. It's really hard to know where he's at. That's just where he was served his divorce papers, which he did sign for. That's where he was served his friend of court paperwork. That's where his probation paperwork is going. That's just where they advised me to send it, since I don't know where he's staying anymore. Because is
he still bothering you?
Since I turned in this other this paperwork of him messaging me and everything else, he did create a new Facebook. And the last time he tried to contact me was March 11th on that Facebook.
And is that something that you can block him from?
Yes. I've been, because we have a no contact order. And through his probation officer already. But every time I try to block him or block Facebooks, he just creates new Facebooks, new phone numbers. He uses like a text now program, so he can get a brand new number every single day if he wants. And he has done that. So I do continue to block contact. But he just creates new Facebooks, new phone numbers.
So let me ask you, you said there's a no contact order. Has he been charged with domestic violence?
He was charged with a domestic against me January 3rd of 2020. He was arrested for a domestic.
You didn't mention that in your petition. Unless I missed it, all you mentioned in the petition was basically some heavy harassment and some threats. And I typically don't issue an ex parte PPO. That means one without a hearing, unless there's a serious threat of violence. I don't like issuing orders when I've only heard one side of the story.
Understandable.
But when I get a petition where there has been actual domestic violence in the past, I almost always will issue those ex parte.
Which was sorry.
Go ahead.
Which is why I was slightly concerned when I had to give him notice of this, because he is recently admitted over that Facebook, because all the messages went to another folder, the other folder, because obviously I'm not friends with him on Facebook. So I didn't see them until a few days ago. he when he gets word of something that he doesn't like, he will start driving by. He comes by in other people's cars, so I don't necessarily know if it's him or not. He recently admitted on those Facebook messages that he has been using drugs again. And he was on drugs when he caught the domestic, so it is slightly concerning to me that he has been using. And then getting word of a PPO, he might, I don't know, he's very unpredictable, honestly.
Tell me about the domestic violence. He was actually convicted and he's on probation now?
That's correct.
Tell me what happened.
So, leading up to the domestic situation, he had stopped coming home. He was a very scary, unpredictable person. You know, anytime I would ask him questions about like where he had been, he'd start throwing stuff around. He would cuss me out, call me names. He was supposed to, and I had suspected drug use because he had dropped dirty for it like 8 months prior to the domestic situation. So I was concerned that he had gone back to it again, but I wasn't really allowed to ask him any questions. And so the morning of the domestic, he was supposed to go get his daughter. And he had been gone for hours. And so I had asked him where he was at. And he had said that he was at his grandma's house, which she got him into drugs in the first place. So I was upset. I told him that he was only supposed to go get his daughter and what was he doing. And he got upset. And I told him that I wanted a divorce. And then he started threatening to go kill himself. He was in my car at the time. And so he was apologizing for wrecking my car because that's what he was going to go do. So I called the police and I told them that he had threatened to kill himself and he was in my car and I didn't know where he was at. And then he was blowing up my phone while I was on the phone with the police. They said they were going to send someone to the house. He was blowing up my phone, so I answered one of his phone calls again. And he had accused me of calling another guy. And I told him that I had called the police because he needed help and, you know, he's threatening to kill himself. And so he said that I needed to call the police again because it was about to be a hostage situation. So I gathered all of my children who were home at the time. I ran them upstairs to the bathroom. I put them in the bathroom. And I called 911 and I told them that I needed help, that he was coming to the house. And I went and looked out the window and he was already in the driveway. He was already running into the house. And I was on the phone. He ran up the stairs. He slammed me into the wall. The bathroom door was still open, so the kids saw it. He slammed me into the wall and swatted my phone out of my hand. Saw that it was 911. He hung it up. And then he cornered me and the kids in the bathroom. And then the police started knocking and he just completely changed. And he went and answered the door like his friend was knocking. And then they arrested him from that point, and he was in jail for about a week before his family bailed him out.
All right, let me stop you. Would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Is everything that you just told me true?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to grant the PPO.
Thank you.
If you ever have to ask for a PPO again in the future, say a year or two from now after this one's expired, make sure in your petition you mention the domestic violence incident where he attacked you.
Okay.
If you had that in this petition, I would have granted it immediately.
Okay. Yeah, it just said most recent, so I didn't know how far back to go.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not faulting you. I'm just giving you some advice. Like I say, if I believe there's an immediate threat of violence, I will issue a PPO immediately. But you didn't give me anything to suggest that he'd actually been violent in the past, only that he'd been
Yeah, he used to sit down.
threatening to hurt himself.
Yeah, once he was out of the house, he used to sit down the street from my house and watch my house. And I would literally live in the dark after like 5 p.m. because he would talk about how he could see me moving behind the curtains and I had someone over and he would harass me. It's been difficult.
Do the two of you have any children together?
Yes. And
Does he get any?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Does he get any parenting time with those children or child?
His older daughter, he lost custody of her. He lost his parenting time. And then we had a custody agreement because we're getting divorced. So we went to court for that. He didn't show up. And I requested full legal, full physical custody with supervised visits, and they did grant that. He was served paperwork. I don't know if he read it. I don't know if he bothered to open it, but he did receive that. And he has not attempted to exercise his parenting time.
So is there any reason for you to have any contact with him whatsoever?
At this point, absolutely not.
He does know where you live?
He does. He comes by frequently, driving by.
Do you have any pets that you're concerned that he might harm?
I have a dog. I'm not sure if he'd ever go after her out of desperation. He probably would not. But
I'm going to include that.
Okay.
And I'm going to prohibit him from possessing a firearm. This PPO will be issued today.
Okay.
And getting him served with it will be a challenge if we don't know where he lives. But normally, if he has any encounter with law enforcement, they will inform him of the PPO, which is sufficient.
Okay. Is there a way to do a proximity thing to prevent him from driving by my house? Because if he sees me outside, he will stop, especially if our son is outside.
This prohibits him from following you or appearing within your sight. It prohibits him from approaching or confronting you anywhere. It prohibits him from appearing at your workplace or residence. So if he's driving by, he's appearing at your residence, he's in danger of being immediately arrested. And if he is arrested, he's very likely going to be in violation of the terms of his probation. And there's a good chance he'll get hauled into court on that, as well as getting arrested for violating the PPO.
Okay.
We'll make sure you get sent a copy of this. If you find out where he is, you can arrange to have it served on him.
Okay.
If you can't, like I said, as soon as law enforcement is able to make contact with him, they will make sure they notify him of the PPO. Once he's notified of the PPO, if there's any violation, excuse me, he'll be taken directly to jail if the police apprehend him during the violation. If the violation is contact where the police aren't involved, you can file a motion to have him held in contempt of court for violating the PPO. And then he'll be brought in front of me and I can impose a sentence of up to 90 days in jail, or 93 days in jail.
Okay.
Did you have any other questions for me, ma'am?
I don't think so.
All right. This will be issued today and you will receive a copy in the mail.
Okay. So I don't need to go pick it up. It's coming in the mail.
Right. I'll make sure it's
Okay.
sent to you.
Okay.
Have a good day, ma'am.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.